Welcome back. Hope you had a great break. We certainly did. And we are back here at the 2019 National School Scrabble Championships. I have Jackson Smylie to my right. I have Will, who is like a normal height. Normally I'm used to looking up where Josh was sitting here. But we've got Will Anderson, two Scrabble champions, ready to go. We'll see Josh a little bit later. And we've got for our fourth round, our high schoolers meeting one another, and it should be a good one. We've got Noah Kalus, who was last year's high school champion, wasn't he? He was.
Oh, last year's high school.
Yes, and
absolutely.
he's also
totally.
a former championship level champion as well. And he will be facing Yanni Raymond, who has made the final table at least twice.
At least once that I remember, yeah.
Now that is Noah right there. If you saw him when he won the school, look at him getting ready to go. When you saw when he won the school championship, he looked a lot younger. He was a lot younger.
As
And
did
a lot
Yanni.
shorter.
I mean, I remember Yanni looking much younger as well. So these guys are
Right. Now
growing
they
up
didn't. Okay, so.
before our eyes.
All right, so Yanni's going first, and you can see his rack there, WBLA, another WNS. So what do we guys look? He's got ball. What do you guys think?
Ball, he has a W problem. That's
Yes.
the real issue you see
Yeah.
immediately. And he has two of
Ws.
them. He actually has a word that has two W's in there. He can swap out that B for a W and make it wall instead. I think that means to cry out like a cat.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, glad to hear it. But we'll see what he decides to do. He definitely addresses his W problem no matter what he plays.
Sometimes one W is a problem.
One W
Always
is a
two
small
W.
problem.
Two W is always a problem.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, there are times when the W is good, obviously. It's a flexible 4-point scoring tile. But early in the game, when your thoughts are more on bingoing as opposed to scoring, probably don't want to see those W's at this juncture of the game.
If you're just joining us, you see the clock down there. Each player starts with 25 minutes, and as soon as he makes his play, he'll hit the button that will start his opponent's clock. There you go, and then you'll see Noah's starts to drop down. He added the S to play balls. That moves the B onto the double letter score.
Yeah, that was interesting. Jackson, what do you think about that?
It's always an interesting decision whether to play the S, and this happens all the time on the opening move. The only reason not to tack on the S, really, besides the S being a good tile, is that he saves it for next turn. So if he just plays ball, he can tack on the S next turn.
But to get a B on the double letter, maybe it's worth it, maybe
Exactly.
it's
He's
not. That's
got
always a
more
tricky
points.
call. Noah's one of the coolest players we have. He's like unflappable. And
Yeah.
then it's fun to watch him at the end of the game because he's really a very gregarious and
Yeah.
talkative guy, but he's all business when he plays. As I mentioned, he was the School Scrabble Championship Division champion a few years ago, came back and won the high school division last year. He's so far the only player to ever have done that.
So he's just adding to his trophy collection at this point.
Yeah, and another is a strong candidate this year as well.
He is undefeated. Yanni has 2 wins and a loss. You see the word jig, and of course,
Yeah,
making a
thinking-
couple 2-letter words along the way. And over on Yanni's rack, there is the blank. That's always good.
Thinking we like jig, obviously, keeping AERT, which is a wonderful group of 4 letters to pair with that S right in the middle of the board. The chances of him hitting a bingo through that S with those 4 letters in his sleeve are very good.
Well, we'll see if it pays off. What about Yanni's rack there? The ICK is good.
It is. It's a great combination.
Is there a bingo in there or no?
I would be
too much.
shocked if there were a bingo.
Yeah, too much garbage with the W and the other stuff. So you want to play off some of those consonants. He's going to play.
He's going to play Binky.
Binky.
B-I-N-K-Y.
So
that
he added the N, the K, and the Y. Some high-scoring tiles. He leaves himself with a C and a
Right.
W.
So this is so interesting because I'm pretty sure Jackson and I both just looked at each other like, not sure I like this. And sure enough, this word, I think I've seen this many times, you know, when you refer to like a child wanting their blanket, right? You would say,
Yeah.
oh,
Pacifier.
my binky, you know,
Pacifier
or
is awesome,
pacifier. Okay. It's actually not in the dictionary, I don't believe.
Oh, well, let's take a look.
But it's such a
You don't believe.
great...
Now, are you sure when you were just being nice, or are you?
Oh, he's
Well,
just being
that's for
nice,
the audience
sure.
to know.
All right.
That's
Where
for the
you-
audience to guess.
Now, we talk a lot about the dictionary that we're using. It is the official Scrabble Players Dictionary, 6th edition. You can find the words online at Scrabble, what is it, Scrabble.com? Merriam-Webster, one of those.
Yeah.
And no, Binky's not there.
And Noah looks like he's intensely focusing on this rack because he has a really good set of bingo tiles, so he probably wants to make sure he's not missing anything.
Yeah, it actually looks like it's so interesting because even if Noah were to suspect that Binky were not a word, it's probably better for him to leave it on the board because he's got narrated from that from that N of Binky. Whereas if he were to challenge it off, I don't think he has too much of anything.
Let's see if he sees it.
It's a tough spot because the N is sort of nestled in there. It's not a clear lane
He needs
starting
that
with
hook.
that N.
He needs that AGA hook to AG, which is on the board, a two-letter word. I feel like most people that learn the two-letter words, AG is one that often raises eyebrows, but I think it's just short for agriculture.
Yeah, I believe so.
What's AGA?
AGA.
I love when I trick you guys. I love when you don't know these things.
It's
I don't
kind
know
of
what
like
age. Sometimes I do, but
Oh,
Oh,
he sees.
there
He's
it
sitting in a
is.
good spot.
Very nice.
That's beautiful.
Very nice play.
That's
is
not
why
an
he's-
obvious find at all.
Nope.
Even though it's a common word, it's one of the toughest to find
It's
right
tough, and especially because you said the N was buried there. He did make AGA as well, which is a high-ranking Turkish military officer. A high-ranking Turkish military
I wonder what word means a low-ranking Turkish military
Probably one of those other
officer.
words we don't know what it means.
Yeah.
And in the Scrabble dictionary, Scrabble Player's Dictionary, there's no pronunciation. We don't care. So we don't know if it's aga, aga, we don't know.
Well, it's not exactly right to say we don't care, but it simply doesn't
terms of
affect
the
the
game.
gameplay.
In
Yes.
terms of
I
the
care.
game.
I mean, I
Well,
care.
you are a wordsmith, we would say. What do you do when you're not here, Will? When you're not playing Scrabble, you...
I go into my cryogenic chamber and I set the time to 364 days and I pop out again to do the school Scrabble championship.
But you're an editor, right? You don't,
That's true, yes. I am an editor. I work with words and language, so it is nice to know what they sound like and mean.
There's Mew, the sound a cat makes, of course. And again, that C kind of gums it up, although we were talking before. C is actually a pretty good letter for 7-letter words. It's when you kind of
Sure,
need the short
yeah.
ones that kind of gets in the way. So we'll see if that works out for him. Noah, with a big, and what he's doing there, you saw him checking them off. He was writing down and keeping track of the tiles that have been played. Late in the game especially, that becomes very important as it will affect the play in terms of what letters are available and what letters your opponent likely has.
Yeah, there's kind of two elements to tracking tiles. One is just the bookkeeping element of it, actually getting it right, which letters were played.
And that's hard
Sometimes
to
that's
do.
annoyingly difficult. And then the other element of tracking tiles is actually using that information, learning to interpret, well, the letters that are left are going to inform my decision on this next play in which way. Well, you know, are there a lot of vowels left? Then I should use the ones that I have. Conversely, the same for consonants. You know, are there Z, Q, and X still to come, and are there spots to play them? It takes years to hone that intuition.
It's sort of, I mean, you kind of start with, are there S's available?
Of
Or
course.
is the Q out there? Is the X out there? And maybe change your play based on that. Now, there's no bingo in there, is there?
I
There's
don't think
not
so.
in here.
But I mean, you're sitting on a gold mine depending
Yeah,
on how you
so
play this.
isn't that funny? We just saw Noah play Jig earlier in the game, leaving R-A-T-E, and he immediately drew a bingo. He's got plays, he could play his P and then one of his pairs of E's and A's somewhere, and he would have that same leave again, R-A-T-E. It worked out great for him the first time. Maybe he'll opt to play Ape or P somewhere, perhaps right underneath Mew is a decent spot for it, if he knows the hooks.
And it's a tough spot. The DEP hook, it's not something you think of immediately, especially that word was only added recently.
It's a Canadian word, I believe.
It is.
Somebody told me.
department.
For department or something else? Here, I'll look
Instead, he
it up.
played
for you.
Ape. So he kept his P. Oh no, did he put down the P?
He put
Yeah.
down the P, so again,
He
he's
did.
keeping
Put down
that
the
powerful
P.
rate leave, and he might also be trying to block the S in balls.
Now, speaking of P, Yanni has one of his own to go with that blank, and of course, everybody can see there he's got pitches, pitcher, or pitched, depending upon how he wants to play the blank. The clearest place would play pitches and hang it on the end of Muse.
Yeah, which
Are there
we
other places?
One maybe something with, maybe not pitches, but if there could be another underlapping word. But it looks like he's going to take pitches quickly.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty good, especially because that H hits a double letter. So a nice play by Yanni with pitches, also making the word muse. He conserved the blank, and it paid off nicely. He's going to grab a bingo and going to grab the lead with it.
And it also worked out really well for Noah that he blocked that S, because pitchers would have been over 100 points. So I'm sure Noah's happy he made that defensive play.
And you say over 100 because it would have stretched from one double word value to the next. So that makes it worth 4 times. And then you add the 50 points for the bingo, and that's how you get so many points. I asked Jackson before, he didn't remember. But Will, what's the highest scoring word you've ever played?
I once played switched as a natural for in the realm of 230 points, something like that.
That would be like a triple.
Yep, it spanned 2 triple word scores in one move. I didn't have a blank involved, so all the letters were contributing point value to it. And I think I hit the C on the double letter score, so it was a very heavy hitting word. But yeah, you'd be surprised how hard it is for me to remember. I never know a good answer for the question, what's your favorite word? I usually give joke answers because I don't really have one. So
whatever works, whatever at that moment is.
Yeah, whichever the last word I played was.
That scored the win for you there.
Jackson, do you have a favorite word, or are you also just?
I'm in a similar state.
Yeah, it's they're just like tools of the trade, really.
It's fun to watch all these players, but I got to tell you, it is. Noah is so expressive.
He is,
and he's just so much fun to watch. And he's always been that way. When he played with a partner in the championship division, he was that way too. And those two kids, just like Jackson, wound up on the Jimmy Kimmel show. It was his partner was Zach Ansel, who we saw a little earlier, and they had a blast with Jimmy. It was a lot of fun.
I just feel like from his body language, so he does have one 8-letter bingo here, which is through the I of pitches, not a regular word. I just feel from his body language that he knows there's something and he's giving it the necessary time he needs to find it and play it, but we'll see if that's what happens. Obviously, he's thinking bingo with these all 1-point letters, bunch of E's, really nice bingo tiles. He's just got to be patient and let his word knowledge click into play here.
He doesn't look like he's going for the bingo.
But this is actually a great play if he's not going to.
It is, yeah. Underlap scores a lot of points. And even though he only has 1 point tiles on his rack, all those parallel plays add up to almost 30 points.
Yeah, we like that. It's always nice if you're not going to see every bingo, which no one on this earth does. It's nice to be able to make a pretty strong play and set yourself up for future turns.
It's also nice when Yanni has his rack the way he does when every time we go to him, he's got his play right there ready for us. We see he plays flood, stretches all the way up to a double word value, and the D hits the triple. It does open up huge bingo opportunities on the other side.
Yeah, I think we like that play. It was the most points he could have scored. And another thing I like about it is in his shoes, he could easily have opted to play something. You see where the D of flood hits. The F could have gone in that spot as well for a lot of points. And it would have been tempting to make a play putting the F there. But he very quickly realized that flood is actually going to outperform any play that puts an F in that spot instead.
And if he doesn't have an S, then that bingo laying doesn't help him at this point. Because S is the only letter that's going to hang at the end of id.
True.
Some opportunities with that O, on the first O in flood. On the other hand, it doesn't look like Noah's got much to work with.
Yeah, which Yanni... Totally, Kevin, you're absolutely correct. Yanni loves that aspect of that play because he's winning the game right now.
And look at that. Nice play with Ver, V-A-I-R. Not only does he get some points, but he leaves himself with a nice set of letters going into his next turn, drops the V, which gets in the way, and we move over to Yanni, who's got the X. Anytime you get the X, all of a sudden it shifts your play because it's so valuable.
Yeah, where's the X fitting? And there's a great spot for it that I'm sure his eye will be drawn to very quickly alongside pitches. For those interested in definitions, a quick definition on vair is a fur used for lining and trimming medieval garments.
You didn't know that?
I confess I did not. He sent me to the dictionary on that one. So, very nice play by Noah. But I would expect the X to go down. You can just looking at the board, you have the X, like Kevin said, you're scanning, where's the obvious spot for it. If you're a newer player to Scrabble, try and do that exercise as you look at the board. You'll see there's really a great spot to put that X here.
Now here's a more advanced question for you. If he puts the X there, he can put an E in front of it, he can put an O in front of it, or he can put an A in front of it. All three of those letters would help him. Which is the best one to do?
Yeah,
Well,
Jackson,
you really want
to
to see what he's leaving on his rack with that. So he'll look at each of those three options, putting the E, the O, and the A, and he'll look at the 5 tiles he's leaving, and he'll think to himself, which of those sets of 5 tiles is the most favorable to have for next turn? And I think the answer to that is playing the O.
OX,
playing
yeah.
OX, he leaves himself with A, E, I, N, R. And again, that's very similar to those A, E, R, T leaves that Noah has been keeping this whole game. It's a very good bingo leave. It leads to a lot of 7-letter words. And I think that's probably what he'll decide to do if he sees the place for the X.
And he's got to see it. When you get the X, you're immediately looking for triple letter. And there it is. I mean, you could theoretically, I guess, play COX over to the triple word. Not going to get as many points, but he kind of shut that down, although you're pretty much shutting it down with that X there anyway.
see what he's
Looks
picked
like he
up.
sees it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see what he's picked up as we go
And
look
it
at
looks
the
like
clock.
his thought process was exactly right, as Jackson pointed out. What's the letter to play off that gives me the best opportunity to hopefully score a lot on my next turn? With a 20-point lead,
Yeah,
Yanni
huge
picks
play.
up some cheap, easy points.
Really, really big play. 55 points.
It's
for
so
that play.
frustrating when you're behind and your opponent does that.
You
It
see, and
is
look,
just
you
like-
see- look at his face.
Now he picked up the Z, which is sometimes a good opportunity if you've got one of those triple places for it to play. And he's got some good letters to go with it, whether it's Zeta or just Za. Z.
Sure, yeah.
And the place that just opened up
A's.
with the Ox play, the Z goes very well. Very nice. You can play Z right there, making HOE. And it seems like Noah spotted that. And again, just like with the X, as you were saying, whenever you get the Z, your initial thought process is what is the place on the board where this Z is going to maximize my score.
And it's a little bit more difficult for Jackson to play that because he just outed himself as
I
Canadian.
did, yeah.
Yeah, though, of course in Canada
Yeah, you can
it's
say
Zed.
Zed. You can say Zed, Jack.
Well, but
slip
they
by
wouldn't
every
have, Zed
once
wouldn't
in a
have done,
while.
actually Zed would have because HOD would have been good.
Well, he's
but-
referring to the letter.
Yes,
you know.
exactly same thing.
Yeah.
Z is the Canadian last letter of the alphabet, for those of you who are trying to figure out why he said that. But he corrected himself so quickly.
I know.
You're practically American
I
right
know.
now.
You gotta
Getting
have
there very
Canadian
slowly.
pride and just let it rip with the Zed.
Nice play by
Right.
Noah to keep him close. When your opponent goes down with that 55-point two-letter word, and you can come back with, what, about 40 points with a three-letter word,
Yeah.
that's pretty darn good.
Very close game.
And
He's-
now-
yeah.
It looks like we might see a recurrence. If anyone is watching that has watched the previous game before lunch, the word Delph may make a reappearance right
Yeah,
now. The
that's
F
right.
on Yanni's rack goes right under that Del word.
And it became a very important play in that last
It
contest.
did.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see if
suspect-
Delph is equally important in this game.
I suspect Yanni wasn't watching the stream, unfortunately. For
Yeah, these
obvious
guys
reasons.
are playing. These guys
Yeah.
are playing. There's just outside the door to our left is the main floor. Unfortunately, you guys can't see it. Maybe actually we could swing the camera around after the game, perhaps, and take a look at what's going on. It's quite fun to watch kids from all over the country and all over the continent sit on the opposite sides of a table and play a board game. You don't see that very often. Most of the time, you're playing online or
Yeah,
on your
it is quite a
iPad or-
spectacle for sure.
There you go.
There you
Look at
Wow,
that. So
ask and
see-
you shall receive.
Yeah, now that's a combination of all three divisions: the championship division, the challenger division, and the high school division. The tables for the high schoolers are in the back, so you probably couldn't see too much there. You can see the play of Fare, F-A-R-E. Make some other words as well.
And he
It's a
shows
nice-
commanding knowledge of the three-letter words.
Yeah.
With APO, I assume you're going to get the definition of APO
You don't know what it
shortly.
means?
No idea.
All right, it's actually Canadian for. I'm kidding.
Yeah, nice play by Yanni to use those overlaps along with his F. And he
APO
keeps,
is a type of protein.
Aha.
Do you say protean?
Protean, I've never heard of that
Oh,
before.
that's kind of the British way. It's
Ooh,
protean.
look at this. We got to think about
Ahi,
this
that's a
play.
very aggressive move from
Ahi,
Noah.
that's the
He sets up a
tuna.
monster S hook, right, hooking Ahi with the S, and he has the S on his rack, and that's probably what inclined him to play Ahi.
Now,
Oh, and
Yanni
Yanni's,
picked up the other
And he
blank,
did.
and he's got Ebony's.
yeah, which he almost has spelled out already.
He does that for us. Thank you.
there we
Those
go.
of you who are players that want us to comment on your play, just give us a little break like doing that way. We sound a lot smarter than we are.
Yeah. So.
Now he's got to find a place to put it. That's the hard part.
So I think we see he's got Ebony's lined up. He clearly knows that's a word, a regular word.
Are there others?
But actually, there is a verb, if you were to put the S before the E, of ebonize. That is actually also a word.
But it's
and
still not going to go anywhere.
It
not gonna
is
go.
actually, if you think about the fact that he can just fit it in
Oh,
under
I see where you're going.
eam and del, making deli, which is to delete something, shorthand
Yep.
for deleting. So by pluralizing eam and making the D-E-L-E hook, he could, he spelled it out.
Wow.
This
He's
would be a
probably
great
considering
play. This would be excellent. And it would nearly clinch the game for him.
Because he's already up by a decent margin. Even though they each traded bingos, he got the X play and he got a bunch of other big plays.
Yeah.
And picking up both blanks, you have a 25% chance of doing that, of getting both blanks in
It
any
doesn't
game.
hurt, but he's made the right
And
plays
every
with what
game
he's
you
drawn.
lose, it feels like another one that he got both blanks. Both blanks,
Yes.
every S. Do yourself a favor, don't keep track of that. It will only drive you out of your mind.
Yeah,
And he's
it
up
is,
by 41 points right now, and he's sitting on a potential bingo that would put him up by over 100. But as we saw last game, even 140 points is not insurmountable.
No, we've got probably about half the bag ready to go.
Also, Noah, if Yanni does play Ebonize in the spot we've pointed out, Noah will be very happy that he's just played Ahi, creating a huge threat for his S that could get him back into a game where he's losing by over 100 points. So he'll be very thankful
It's
for
a
that.
balance of offense and defense. When you're behind, got to play a little more risky, got to open things up a little bit, but of course, that'll whack you in the head sometimes and shut it right down. Now, Noah is undefeated, and as the tournament rounds out, you'll see that one loss doesn't really kill you. It doesn't eliminate your chances. A second loss is brutal. A second loss in a tournament like this one, where there's only 8 rounds, it's very, very difficult to come back from 2 losses just to get at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, just too short a tournament really for that. So we had seen Yanni have his tiles arranged in to spell out Ebonize. It's possible that he wasn't sure of that. It's also possible he wasn't sure of the dele hook. There are a number of reasons why he seems to have, that he could have rather, shifted away from that idea. And now it seems like he's looking at getting rid of his B and saving the blank instead, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
And that's what he's going to
Seems
do. He's going to
like
play
a good
Neb
choice.
and
Interesting, yeah.
shuts down some of the opportunities
Yeah.
for using the S with Ahi.
And interestingly, he actually holds one of the last 2 E's. Even though we're only about
Wow.
a third of the way through the game, there's only 1 E remaining, and an E is very, very essential to forming a 7-letter word.
Noah would love one right about now.
He could use one for sure.
Unfortunately, he's got 2 U's. Now, the Q is still out there, but it's a little too early to worry just about that.
Yeah.
In fact, he picked up one of them, and he's just going to play off.
Nice play.
Playing off Unao, great play, getting rid of both U's.
You know what that means? I love when you guys are silent. I love when I ask questions like, oh.
Well, I always have a guess, but my
Okay,
guess
what's your
is
guess?
my guess is that it's some sort of animal.
Well, some sort of animal is not really.
It is
That's
living.
not really enough. I need a little bit
My
more.
guesses
than
are
that.
wrong about 90% of the time.
This one, I'll give you a little clue. This animal and its various appendages appears in a lot of different words.
Is it a sloth?
It is a sloth. It is.
I did not even look that
No,
up.
because it's
Honest to
well, how
goodness.
many toes?
Oh God.
Well, 2 U's, so 2 toes.
Very good. I don't know if
Nice.
that's
Makes
was
perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. It is a 2-toed sloth, and we mentioned that because there's a 3-toed sloth. That's what is that AI?
AI.
Yeah.
You see it all the time.
So
Thank goodness for all the different toes that they have.
That's-
So many useful words
there
we
you
get
go.
out of that.
And look at that word, by the way. You can dump 2 U's and an A.
Yeah.
And that changes your rack immediately.
So shout out to sloths for being so useful in Scrabble. But that was a really good play. Keeping his S, trying to hit ahis, which would really be a game changer.
Now we have out, which I will repeat goes in front of any other word to make a word. When in doubt, just put out there. But you also have goutier, right? That's
He almost has it aligned.
The issue, yeah, as Jackson's alluding to, is there's just it's hard to imagine where any of those words is going to fit unless you have an S with ahis.
right. That's the only letter that goes at the end of AHI
Correct.
is the S.
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
then there are not a lot of great places for a bingo other than that. The F ending in F.
Yeah, that's
up at
pretty
fair.
tough.
Yeah, which in Yanni's case, even though he doesn't have, he has tiles that indicate he should try to bingo, right? He's got a blank and low point tiles, but the score of the game indicates that he wants a board that is not good for bingoing because it's the only way that Noah can catch up to him. So he's got kind of these competing goals. Great bingo tiles, but he desperately doesn't want his opponent to bingo on him. So you have to juggle which way you want to go on this turn.
We missed one word that was played in the last because we got so excited about UNAU. Also played EMEU, which is valid,
Oh,
and
yes.
that's another advanced kind of word. You know, you see EME and you know an S goes at the end of it, but to put the U there, really a nice play.
Yeah.
And now this is kind of what you were talking about before, Kevin, with the balance of who is trying to play offense and who's trying to play defense. So right now, since Yanni has about a 50-point lead, on a board where there's not many good bingo options, he definitely wants to be playing defense. And as you said, as Will said, the biggest threat here is ahi with the S hook on it. So he may be inclined to block that ahi's hook soon, because that's the biggest threat to his lead.
So some cheap points there. OI, is that another one of the sloths? I don't think that
I
is.
think it's AI.
AI, I think is. yeah.
OI is just like OY, like oi, you know. Oi, I just lost when I was winning by 100, you know, that sort of thing.
I've said that before.
Yeah. So I wonder what Noah's got here. Can he hit that? He needs his S.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, he's got
Gee, I wonder what
insect.
word he's got.
Yeah.
Now,
He makes it easy for us.
Oh, and you can see again.
look what happened by putting NEB where he did.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, insects is no good. Now the OI messed it up as well, but it could have gone there had he played a different part of the board.
Well, I'm not sure it would have fit there
I
because
and S under.
If
ahi.
Neb was played elsewhere.
Oh,
Yeah, so,
correct.
yeah,
And
Neb is
Neb
what-
blocked
Neb is
it.
what shut it
There's
Sorry,
some
you're
long-term
totally
defense
correct.
of
Yes,
Neb.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the OI, you know,
Gotcha.
further messed it up. But that
Yeah,
play of
great
Neb,
point.
which didn't completely block the move, blocked enough of it
Yes.
that play wouldn't have been good.
Sorry, you're totally correct on that.
So now from Noah's perspective, he sees this big ahi spot. He doesn't have a word that fits there though, which is unfortunate. So what he might try to do this turn is open up a second place for an S hook, because he may realize that from Yanni's perspective, he really wants to block that ahi's hook, and he will probably do that next turn. So Noah may try to set up a new S hook, or he seems
Or
to
he's
see,
gonna
oh,
play
he sees
Stinses.
Stinses.
Oof.
Stinses
And
and
says-
your groaning indicates to me that it's probably not a word.
Yeah,
It's not in the
I would just
dictionary.
I feel like from Yanni's point of view, this is really has a lot of incentive to challenge.
And we'll see if he's holding. We'll look at the bag. We'll see if Noah's drawing tiles. If he's not drawing tiles, that indicates that Yanni's holding.
And what happens there is you just ask you tell your opponent to hold. He doesn't draw tiles. You can take as much time as is reasonable to figure it out. Now he could be thinking, all right, do I let it go because I'm not sure and maybe I can bingo? And
And it looks like
No.
he
that's
is.
no. So he was moving his tiles out of play, although you can't really see them. When you get up from the table, you generally turn your tiles face down. So we're going to see another successful challenge. Tough play for Noah. He had to go for it. He did go for it. I'm not sure whether he knows Stinses isn't a word or he just thought it might be a good one, but that's going to be a difficult situation when he has to return to the table behind and lose his turn.
And
Yeah.
sometimes those aggressive moves work out. As you can see, sometimes your opponents are afraid to challenge, but then sometimes they are successful.
That's at this level. These guys are very, very shrewd in terms of the challenge strategy. Lesser players like myself, it drives you crazy. You just don't know. You start double thinking yourself. Stints. Now, you think so many different things. A, is it a word? B, he's a good player. Is it just a word I don't know?
Sure.
And then the third thing is, strategically, is it helping him, and is that why he's doing it? And you got to think of everything. God, he took a long time to do that. Players that take a long time, maybe it's an indication that he's not certain. So a lot of things go through your head when you're making a challenge, and you saw Yanni take a long time before he actually stopped the clock and issued the challenge. What happens now, they go to a computer, they enter in all the words that were played in there. So they'll enter ahis, A-H-I-S as well, and then the computer will tell them it's a good word or it's not a good word, and there's Noah.
And
He's laughing a bit.
He's got the bad
I
news,
think he knows he tried to get away with one, and he's got a good opponent that wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah, Jackson alluded to this when one path he could have taken was to try to set some other lane up on the board, but the motivation for that would have been because, in Noah's view, Yanni was a sure bet to block the Ahi's hook on his next turn, which was certainly the case. So Noah probably figured, if I don't see a good play that opens a new spot on the board, I might as well take a shot at it now because this might be my only chance to get an S bingo down before it gets blocked. So
And big advantage to Yanni here because
Huge.
not only does he have an opportunity to block, he knows exactly what the letters are that his opponent has. And obviously, look what he's going to do. Yeah, he's going to play Stokey.
Interesting.
So he uses the blank as an S and totally, completely knocks out that entire lane. I guess you could know the even emus would not stretch. So you'd have to have...
It's going to require something like an ES bingo. I mean, it's going to be next to impossible to get a bingo down on the bottom of the board.
You know he has an ES.
But there's not very many words that start like that.
So now, as you can see on the board, the entire top left portion is totally open in terms of space. There's all this unused space there. And I think Noah probably needs to figure out a way to access that space if he wants to come back and win this game, because otherwise there's not much he can do on the lower half of this board. As you said, the only real bingo that can play is starting with ES, and it's pretty hard to bank on those things to happen.
It'd be nice if he could have gotten rid of the C up there, but he's going to have to play since here.
Grabbing a decent number of points and keeping that nice ST, but again, ST is only nice when you have a place you could expect to play a bingo with it, which this board does not support.
Good news and bad news for Yanni. He picked up the Q. He also has a U and an I. Those things can help him out. And of course it means that Noah can't get the Q, although that may not be such a good thing on this board. What do you do here? Go QI on if, just to get rid of it?
He also has another play that gets rid of some more vowels, QUAI. I don't know what that means, but it's a pretty useful word.
Oh, that's just like a dot, like on the key, right? Near an ocean, a body of water.
It's pronounced key, not quay?
Oh, it's an alternate spelling.
I would say
key.
key, yeah, but that's...
And he also has another cool play, playing quiet to the E and the T.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's nice. Another reason that's nice is because it doesn't give back any good options to Noah, and this is exactly what Yanni wants to do here. Now,
we were talking about QUAI, which has so many different accepted spellings for the same word. QUAI, QUAY, CAY, KEY, all one word.
Well, are those all I'm not sure those are all synonyms. They all sound like key, right? Sure. So yeah, quiet. That's a really good suggestion. There you go. Homophones is that's true. So quiet really does the trick for me here, I think.
And another thing that's worth noting is that from Yanni's perspective, if he's tracking tiles properly, and this is what you were alluding to earlier, Will, one great value of tracking tiles is you see how many consonants are in the bag and how many vowels are in the bag. And if he's tracking properly, he'll notice there are 13 consonants and only 3 vowels.
Wow.
Now look what he does here. He played the quay or key or however you pronounce it, QUAI, but not in the place that we thought he might. Maybe that opened the board a little more than he wanted, sacrifice a few points for the chance to continue to gum things up. Now you really put a lot of pressure on Noah to play something up maybe from the W. I guess he could go YOW, DOW.
But I mean, just to continue Jackson's point, remember we just mentioned from Yanni's perspective, unseen to Yanni were 3 vowels and 13 consonants, I believe it was. Noah's rack exactly reflects what you would expect him to have from Yanni's perspective. 6 consonants, maybe 5 if you want to count the Y as a vowel. Not very good balance for getting a bingo down, even if the board were more open than it is. So if he's going to open with that W of balls and try to create some space, he's very likely going to have to use his O. In fact, he has to use his O to play there, and in so doing, he will use up his only 2 vowels, really, again, if you consider the Y kind of a hybrid consonant or vowel.
Also worth noting, because of the unsuccessful, or the successful challenge, the unsuccessful play, Yanni knows that Noah's got an S.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't know he's got both of the remaining S's, but he knows he's got one. And
I think he did, right? Stinses.
But he played off an S.
But then since
Oh,
after.
sure,
So
you're
he
right,
drew
totally.
he drew the final S
Yeah.
on his last draw, but he knows he's got one, and that could change things up a little bit. He does play Yao. He almost had no choice. The other choice probably Dow, D-O-W, or
Or
maybe
even
go
Tao.
D, or
Yeah, actually,
Toe.
toe.
Oh, toe. I've heard of that
Toe,
word a couple times.
No, it's so funny when you
Yeah.
see some of these words.
We're talking
When
about
you
pronunciation,
Yeah,
yeah.
the TWO, somebody played against me, I was like, going to have a what?
Two-o,
It's
yeah.
two, yeah.
But anyways, toe, T-O-W, set Noah up for his S because he can put the S in front
Oh,
for
very
stow,
nice.
and he might have considered doing that,
Yeah,
even
stuck
though it
with the
holds
D
on.
and the Y is
Exactly, the
kind of
Y is not
messy.
ideal, but he may have elected to do that.
Yeah, no option there was really going to be very satisfactory. So.
Yanni put his hand in the bag, not because he was going to try and grab some extra letters, but merely to figure out how many letters remain in the bag, and then if his tracking is correct. So
You see him scribbling away.
how many letters are there?
There will be 6 in the bag.
And that means something as well. He can't trade in, and neither can Noah. So
Right.
this is it. We're at the end game. Yanni has himself a, 62-point
62-point lead.
62-point lead.
And that's pretty
I think he's
foolproof on this
feeling
board.
good.
I think as
Yeah.
long as he can make sure Noah doesn't get a bingo down, Yanni's going to be safe this game.
Yeah.
Both blanks are gone. There's at least, he knows that Noah has at least one S. He may have both, which is actually probably in this situation a disadvantage. He's got union spelled nowhere I can see that it goes.
Yeah, I wonder what he actually should do here. You just want to basically don't do anything to open the board and respond to any opening that Noah makes on his next turn. I just don't think the Y of Yao is a threat that you need to worry about right now.
The clock could come into play here. We just saw that.
That's true.
Yanni's got 4.5 minutes to go. He just
he
gets rid of the
plays
N and a
U.
U.
He may be trying to block an S hook on since, even though it doesn't make much sense as a word. There are some of these words like that that do, in fact, take an S at the back, so he may be trying to be safe, make sure that Noah can't get a big score, and put him in a tough position.
And once again,
See his body
we
language.
see no
Oh,
vowels. So he played off a Y, a semi-vowel, I guess.
And then an
And
O.
O, a definite vowel, and paid the price with no vowels.
Oh, gosh.
And
he
then
can't
he
exchange.
can't exchange. There's only
What do you do?
4 letters left in the bag. So he's got to hope. I would get. Well, he really can't play very many tiles, but he's going to play a few. Leave himself the best thing he can possibly think of.
This is
and
a
then
really
pray.
bad. This is a really bad situation.
Well, it's tough. I mean, is there any place you see that he can get? I mean, he can play Sty, S-T-Y, but that takes that sort of out of the mix.
So it seems like he's dropping his S. He
That's
can
for
score a few points.
oppos and Vares. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Seems
not
like a
even
fine
sure what
choice at
else
this
he's
point.
So
supposed
some
to do.
cheap points there. You see he trails by 70. At
Yeah.
this point, that's a scary number on this board. He's going to draw one tile and pray
It's a vowel.
that it's an E or an A or something that's going to help
Well,
him.
from his point of view, it could only be an I, O, or U. The E's are done and the A's are done.
Oh, we mentioned the E's early
Yeah.
on. That E is such a powerful letter. It seems, there's more than any other letter than the 12 in the set. But once they're gone, they're
Yeah,
brutal.
it hurts.
Yeah, and
It's-
so he doesn't know that the I's and O's are gone as well, and he just picked up a U.
So Yanni continuing to just play the waiting game, knowing that this position is incredibly favorable to him. I bet we're going to see Met and me go down here.
He's got the M
Or
and
maybe
the E.
he'll play, oh, that's
That
better.
seems
Am
fine
I?
as
That's
well.
better. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Now, that's where tracking helps you, of course. You know the Q is gone. That could have sat above the E. You know the X is gone. That could have sat above the E. So playing the I there, it's fine. It's not going to open up
Sure.
something that's going to cost you. Let's see what letter did he get. I think it's sitting in his hand.
Looks like he's going to play it. And this is another one of these
Does he
games.
not have? Are there no letters left? And wasn't he supposed to take one more?
I think he,
He's
I
checking the
think
bag
maybe
now.
he's realizing he didn't draw.
oh, maybe he,
He may have thought the bag was empty, but there's plenty of. Now this is interesting because
he's chuckling.
yeah. Now they're going to stop. They don't know what
Oh,
to
I
do.
think he-
Yanni probably drew as well.
Oh,
And so
okay.
Noah thought the bag was empty or just forgot to
Yeah,
draw.
yeah.
And do either of you know what the play is here?
I think he just draws the tile. I think drawing
yeah.
out of order is totally fine.
And at least there are some letters left. If the
There
bag
are,
was
exactly.
empty, then that creates all kinds of problems. These things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seasoned players, doesn't matter. I don't know again whether he forgot. I think he just forgot to because he had to know there were at that point I think 5 or 6 letters still in the bag.
Yeah, I think he's probably a little bit influenced by the fact that he's drawing all consonants at this pivotal moment of the game, and he's just kind of sitting back. He's played his S, and then he's just like, oh, you know,
yeah,
this
he
game
doesn't
is
need
a
to draw
mess.
That's
another-
a good
you
Noah
know.
Kalus
Yeah, I'm
impression.
trying
He just
to
did,
I'm trying
yes.
to emote the way he would.
So they call the director over. Director will take a look at things. There are rules that cover everything you can imagine that can happen in a Scrabble tournament, and yet, in every tournament, something happens that isn't covered in the rules. I'm sure this one is. I'm sure this has got to be
I
covered
think
in the
so.
rules. Over the years, and tournament Scrabble's had official rules now for about 30 or 40 years. Every time something happens, they're going to add it to the rule book. And it happens in baseball, football, basketball. Every season, there's something that happens that isn't addressed in the rule book, and you've got to figure it out. And of course, that then becomes the law. And so they will enforce the law over at the table, and we'll finish up this game. It's not looking good for Noah. This
not.
could be his first loss. If it is, Yanni, who has 1 loss, Noah, who has 1 loss. I believe coming into this, there were 4 undefeated players in the high school division. So this is going to knock one of them off with Noah's loss.
Looks like they resolved it.
They resolved it. I would imagine that he just drew 1.
And it was a
it was a
V.
V.
Oh,
So of all
man.
the letters in the bag, and there weren't very many good ones, he probably drew the worst one he could.
And this is another game where it seems like the challenge was one of the biggest turning points in the game. When he played Stintz's, you can see he knows his position is not
He's
very
shaking
good.
his head.
That
That's
Stintz's play
tough.
really defined the rest of the game because then it was revealed that he had 2 S's on his rack.
All right, he drops the V in front of ET to make the word vet.
It's about as good as he's going to do.
Yeah, I
here.
bet he hated doing that though, because the G could have gone in front of Rig
Yeah,
as well.
so just, I mean, as an aside, that spot where vet was just played, to me, that was the likeliest place that Noah could have used a play to make a setup, right? He could have played his T there to make tet, which would have threatened a bingo hooking stet, for example. So that would have been my only, that little spot to me, from Noah's perspective, would have been my best chance to create some space that actually threatens something.
And after playing the V, Noah
There's the
forgot
Val.
he forgot to draw again.
Okay.
Yanni
well,
told him you got to draw, and he started
Yeah,
laughing.
yeah.
So the clock ticks down. In the meantime, you see it at the bottom of the screen there, NU and NU. And NU, so it's 3 times you've got NU down there.
Nice.
The Greek letter nu, and I'm a broken record about how important knowing these Greek letters, Hebrew letters, currencies, musical notes. We saw MI, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And if you know the names of various sloths, that helps as well.
And that's pretty much it. There's
That's
no
it,
more
yeah,
words
there's
to
no
know
more. That's
after
it.
that. Once
That's
you've
it.
done that, you know them all.
You know them all. You've got the entire dictionary down.
No, there's a few more.
Noah finally drew his vowel that
Yeah.
he's been looking to draw for
And
so
it's
many
not
turns.
a bad one given
Yeah.
this situation.
He'll
It's
take
just
it.
there's really no good ones.
Yeah.
As long as it was a vowel, he was going to be okay. It is kind of nice though because there's no E, but it goes in front of the Y, it goes in front of the O. If he can do anything with that, and he's going to check to make sure there are no letters.
Yeah, nothing left.
And actually, we laugh, but what he may have been doing is if there is 1 letter left or 2 letters left, you don't want to play too many that leaves you with fewer than 7 and you can't bingo.
Sure.
Pretty impossible to bingo on this board. Impossible to bingo with the rack that you've got, but you got to take every chance that you can.
Right. And I just want to add that we're talking about the board being so poor for putting bingos down. And it's not like that just happened randomly. In large part, that happened because of many of the plays that Yanni has made in this game to constrict Noah's options. It didn't just randomly occur. It's because Yanni played an active role in getting the board to be this shape. And I also would add that Noah's play of ape earlier in the game, you see it right in the center of the board, instead of P-E-A, somewhere else, that changed the whole complexion of the game to cut that S of balls off. Jackson referred to that earlier as well.
He goes with OS and also makes omen and
yeah.
C. That is the Spanish word for yes. That's what it means. There are some words in other languages that are acceptable in Scrabble. A lot of them mean hello or goodbye. And in this case, yes, S-I.
And actually, SI is also another musical note as
Yeah,
well. It's
I
an
think
alternate
it's
spelling of TI.
right?
Is it?
And once again, it fits into our theory that all words are either a musical note or a letter.
Or sloth.
Or a
I
sloth.
didn't know. Oh, yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
synonymous with TI. I did not know that.
Down
Roo, which
comes
is short
Roo.
for kangaroo, that was added in the previous dictionary update. And we have, this would be a terrific scoring game under normal circumstances. We've seen some huge scores, and it shows you that while a big score is an indication of a good game and a good player, it's not always the case. The best players have games where they score 323 points. It happens because you don't get the letters or because it's been such a defensive battle that you've done about as well as you can.
And I think Yanni was definitely doing that actively, as Will was saying. Yanni probably could have scored easily 400 or 420 points, but then he may have not won the game. So he kind of took a hit to his own score, but he made sure that Noah couldn't catch up himself.
And in a situation like this where you've got one loss and you're playing a player that's undefeated, the margin of victory is everything. Yanni may win the game and still be behind Noah in the standings because he doesn't have enough spread points to jump ahead of him. The tiebreaker is the margin of victory, the spread. It is not head-to-head. So even though Yanni beat Noah, Noah could still have a better record or higher in the standings than Yanni is.
So Noah has a nice place to put his G. Right above Aga, he can put the G on to make Gaga. We'll see if he spots that. That would be a real spread-saving play. So he gets rid of his unwanted G and
Yeah.
scores 9 points.
Funny thing is, that's literally his only play.
It is
right
his
now.
only play,
It's
really.
the only way he can use any of his letters of D, D, G, T. And the other play that he had was Spat, which he did just play. So
Yanni down under 2 minutes, down to about 1 minute and 30 seconds coming up. Now, normally that'll really scare you to death. Here, he can pretty much know he's going to be able to play something. And it looks like he's got the R and the I ready to go. Where would that go?
he could play Riff to the F,
That
maybe
would be-
Rivet.
And that's
What
what
he's
he's going to
doing.
do, riff.
That is
Now-
the correct play mathematically.
What if you went LI? You'd get more points, wouldn't you?
LI.
And then if you make LI vertically and IF horizontally, did I come up with a better play than Will Anderson?
I think probably what happens if you do that is you can't play your R.
No, there's no place for the R to go.
Yeah, that is my guess.
This board is really clogged up right now.
So
we'll
by
see if-
playing RIF, it makes it possible
To put
to
the
at
L
least
above-
play the L
above
above
riff,
there,
not riff,
unless Noah blocks it, in which case I'm not sure where the L's going.
Maybe
Well, we'll get
nowhere.
there.
We will see. So it
Stick
looks
around
like-
after the game because Josh is out there. He's going to talk with the winning player. At this point, it's all but certain to be Yanni, unless something incredibly bizarre happens and he goes way over in his time. And he did play
Plays
defense
G.
there. He
Nice
put the
job.
G there. Either he didn't see Gaga or he wanted
Yeah,
to.
so it would have been slightly better for him to place his T there, saving the G for the Gaga spot. on
So
the
now
next
he's
turn.
got an L and no.
There are
place to
no
put
valid
it.
plays
Yeah,
on
you
this
see him.
board
You see him
with
just
their
raise his
racks.
eyebrows. He just raised
And
his
he's-
eyebrows, like,
shrugged
well,
it. Oh, now he's under a minute. He's got to keep his eye on the clock there. Yeah,
And
he's
he's
been
passing.
passing. He just passed. He knows there's no place
Smart.
for the L to go.
Really
and
smart.
now Noah's going to try with 4 minutes and 25 seconds
Well,
to squeeze out as many points as he can.
I think it's actually just going to be a
Uh,
lot of
Pass,
passing.
so there's no place for the D's and
The
T's.
board is, as is often said, I think the board is locked in the sense that there are no valid plays.
So there are no valid plays. Maybe one of them tries to get away with a phony, and now
Yeah.
is as good a time as any because
Sure.
there's nothing that there's no risk if there's really no place to play.
What
how many
phony
passes have to go
could-
back? I'd play Dog and DAG.
Well, what phony could win you the game, right?
Nothing.
TDD balls and DJ?
Yes, that would be it.
That might do it.
And that wouldn't be challenged because it's such a common possibility. I'd play DAG
DTD.
and then do and just try and
Sure,
squeeze some points
sure.
out. There's
Yeah.
no reason not to, but
Right.
Noah would rather torture us for 3 minutes and 30 seconds and come up with every possibility that he can. And you know what? He's doing the right thing. I'm teasing him, but we just talked about the fact that this loss doesn't eliminate him from the competition, but he's got to do everything he can to get as many points as he can to eliminate the margin of victory. So with 3 minutes and change left to go, he's going to take as much time as he can. And how many, 4 passes back and forth in the game ends?
In the non-school tournaments, I think it's 6 consecutive turns of 0 points ends the game.
So it's either a pass
we're at-
or if you're trading. And
There's
look at that.
Daga.
He's
Yes.
trying Daga. It is
And-
Daga is a word with 2 G's though, and he's just
no,
Oh,
he
okay.
pulled it up.
He's
He
just-
probably, my guess is that Yanni challenged
Okay,
him.
I
and
could
he
read his
said,
lips, and he said, "We just pass." Yeah, and the answer is
Yeah.
you just pass.
Pass. They
Okay.
stop the clock, and that's going to be that. Now,
That's
in this
it.
case, you do subtract the letters from your score, don't you?
I think
You do,
so.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Subtract,
It's the only
don't
time that you
double.
subtract is if
Right.
you both have letters remaining on your rack. So we'll knock 1 point off of Yanni's score. We'll knock,
5 points.
5 points
Wow.
off of Noah's score. We'll get you the final score when we can. Josh is going to be out there to talk with Yanni. And I have a feeling we'll be seeing one of these guys, if not both of them, as things get down to our final group of players tomorrow afternoon.
And this is a real testament. The fact that they both had tiles at the end of the game, it's a testament to how defensively Yanni was playing. He was extremely successful in making sure there was no way Noah could get back into the game. He did a phenomenal job playing defense when he was ahead, and it was a very deserved win for him.
Yeah, I just I look back at a couple of plays in that vein. I think the most striking one to me was his play of Stogie burning his blank to the triple. That's not a play that a really offensive focused player would make. You have your blank, you're thinking about bingoing, but I love that he chose to burn that blank there, knowing full well that Noah had 2 S's that he just exposed with the phony. And I think that's a really advanced play that he made, in addition to other plays like Neb and a couple of other really nice defensive moves.
We talked about that being kind of a low-scoring game. They combined for over 700 points, and that's a pretty solid game along the way. They're filling out the final scorecard. You can see there. They've got to write down their scores. They've got to write down the margin of victory, the spread. Each of them will initial it. They'll also make sure that if there are any possibility of protests or confusion, they will also indicate what the blanks were used for. They've done that
Sure.
along the way, but oftentimes that's included on the scorecard. Most of the time it's pretty obvious,
Yeah.
but in this case, we saw one that was used as an S. Actually, they were both used as S's, and that's pretty common. Sometimes it's crazy when you have to use the blank as like an X or a Q or something weird like that, but it happens. It
Got to
happens
keep an
quite a
open
bit.
mind when you have the blank, for sure.
Do you ever do you ever just go like A, B, C, just run the
Oh,
alphabet?
that's yeah. If you have very flexible letters, I will definitely do that. Just go through and make sure you're seeing every possibility. It's very time consuming. Actually, I often get into my worst bouts of time pressure in games where I have a blank, I have good letters, but I can't seemingly find a bingo, and I just spend too long going through each letter of the alphabet. But I've worked really hard to try to get better at that because it is a weakness of mine.
We are privileged to have these two guys with us. You got to believe and listen to everything they say. Will was the North American champion just a couple years ago, and Jackson was a school champion, 8 years ago, and is of the players that are entered in the upcoming National Scrabble Championships the highest ranked player. He'll be the favorite when things get underway in July in Reno. You're going to be there as well, Will, aren't you?
That's true, yeah. I will be in, thankfully, a different division from Jackson, so I don't have to face this guy who's higher ranked than I am now. So
you're going to be playing with that other dictionary.
That's true. I got out of Dodge before I had to face Jackson, and as you alluded to when I was not in the booth here, each of you guys have the distinction of having beaten me in every game you've ever played against me in your life.
North American champion, pshaw.
Yeah, that's Scrabble for you.
Yeah, and I mentioned the other dictionary. There is a division at the National Championships that uses the dictionary for worldwide English, a lot more words, because of course they're speaking English in so many countries around the world. So any word that's kind of like a valid English word anywhere in the world, that's in that dictionary. You got to study a whole lot more.
Yes, I do. But you know what?
And it pays less too.
I know.
That division.
So what am I doing?
What are you
Who
doing?
knows?
Yeah.
You know, I ask myself that every day sometimes. But
Jackson will be playing. As a Canadian, he's a little challenged with the vocabulary sometimes anyway. Although he said Z and he said Z, but you corrected yourself.
And luckily all the Canadian spellings are valid in the dictionary we're playing.
They are.
So anytime
It's
you
the
have a
North
U, we
American
can go
dictionary.
there. Exactly.
What's the biggest? What word has the biggest difference?
Biggest difference?
Yeah, it's
What
got to
do
be
you
Z.
mean?
I mean, is there the word in Canadian that's not?
It's
English?
pretty much just the spellings, which you'll see in this tournament, but not in our speech. So,
Sometimes a U and like color.
Exactly.
You know, but that's acceptable in all the English dictionaries all around the world. The U.S. is the only one that doesn't spell it that way, but we put it in the dictionary. Again, it's the North American dictionary. Josh is out there with our winners, and actually with both players, and let's hear from him now.
All right, guys. Well, this was an interesting game. Lots of space was open on the top left of the board. Wasn't really used. You both got stuck with letters. But yeah, I wanted to ask about a few things. First of all, you played Binky. Did you suspect that was just a valid word, invalid word? What did you think about it?
I thought it was good. I wasn't sure. I thought it was good. I wasn't sure. I definitely would believe you if you say it's no good.
It is in fact no good. Did you suspect it to be no good?
I did a little bit, yeah, but, you know, I guess I just figured maybe, and I didn't want to take a chance too early in the game.
Well, it's interesting because you didn't have to challenge, even if you knew it was not a word, because it gave you narrated. Now, without that, you would have no bingo to play. You can only talk when the mic is... They're not going to hear you, Noah. All right, anyways. You played, Noah, you played Ape, blocking that S. You indeed blocked a 100-point bingo of pitchers and other bingos that fit there. Was that your intention on that play?
Well, I wanted to get a good leave and also block the S, so yeah, that was one of my intentions, yeah, to block that S.
I did like that play. You did have PEA with Dep under Mew for a few more points, but it really did work out in your favor to block that S, because I'm sure, Yanni, you were just itching to play to that S, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was excited about that one.
All right, so going down the line, the first time you kept the leave of AERT, Noah, you drew into narrated. The second time, you didn't manage to play a bingo, but unfortunately you had one through the eye in pitches, laterite. What can you say about that? You looked hard for it, didn't you?
Yeah, I looked everywhere. I didn't know laterite. Is that a common one? Do a lot of people know that?
Well, the way you can remember laterite is you have the word literate, and then you have the word laterite. So you're just switching the vowels a little bit around. And that way you can also remember that alliterate is a word and elaterite is a word. So no, you just had laterite, the anagram of literate, and each of those words takes a separate front hook. So alliterate, elaterite. You want to say it with me? Kidding. Okay. Later on, Yanni, you had ox. You took a few minutes to make that play. Did you not immediately see the bomb?
Yeah, no, I just the last place on the board that I looked, The other thing, I was thinking about X-Con through the triple, getting the X on the double letter. Is that good?
No.
All right, good thing I didn't go with that.
So Noah would have challenged X-Con. That would have been a great swing for Noah. How did you feel when that came down after a few minutes of you more and more being like, okay, nothing bad's going to happen, right?
Yeah, that kind of plays the one that'll get you down in the dumps a lot, because I was just starting to get back up to him, and then he puts down that 50-point play. And at that point, I fell down pretty far.
So later on in the game, Noah, you were down around a bingo. Yanni was playing very nice defense. You played Ahi. That opened up a way for you to get back into the game with a bingo. Yanni, you partially blocked that with Neb. On that rack, you saw Ebony's, and then you saw, I think, was it Ebonite with the blank T?
I was actually thinking Ebonize there, but I wasn't sure if that was good.
Okay. So yeah, he was thinking of Ebonize. Ebonize was your missed bingo of the game. You had it under with Dele and.
I was looking. I didn't think that Dele was good. I saw that place and I was thinking, oh, that would be a great move, but I didn't think that Dele was good and wasn't worth making that mistake at that moment.
Right, and then it worked out for you because Noah still felt compelled to play Stinses. Now, how sure were you that that wasn't a word?
I was 0% sure.
So you were not sure that it wasn't a word.
Yeah, you could say that.
You just totally made it up, right?
Yes.
Okay, you felt compelled to challenge because that would have brought Noah ahead with almost no occasion for you to come back, right?
Yeah, I felt that was a situation where I had to challenge and I couldn't see a way that it was a word. So.
And then something very interesting happened. You played Stogie, Yanni, burning your blank just to totally shut down that part of the board because you knew how strong Noah's rack was, and you just wanted to get it done, right? You thought that was probably the play that won you the game, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was holding on to that blank. It felt weird to play it on a 27-point play, but I just thought there's not a whole lot of places to get a bingo. Just blocking this place pretty much gives me the game.
What did you think of his play of Stogie? Were you sort of confused by it?
Well, I was expecting him to play the blank for a little bit more, but it was an effective play, that's for sure, because I didn't have any high-scoring opportunities with that blank anymore. And so, yeah, that probably closed it down for him.
So for the rest of the game, it was really just totally closed board. Noah had no chances to come back. Maybe very, very slight chances, but there were no vowels left. Yanni had them all, and that was it. It was just a very, very tough slog or some word. It was a very hard going for Noah. And what happened later in the game? You played off your S, and then you stopped the clock. Can you explain what happened there?
Well, that was really more of a boneheaded move for me, because I thought there were no tiles left in the bag, but in fact there were 4 tiles left in the bag. Don't really know where my mind was there, but I may have gotten a vowel back from that. That would have helped me a little bit, but I don't think it would have helped me by that much more, so I think it's okay. But that was pretty dumb of me.
Did you feel like Noah was trying to get one by you? He didn't want to draw another consonant? What did you feel like?
No, I didn't notice that he hadn't drawn. I was just going along trying to make little defensive plays and didn't really think much of it. But.
For the record, I wasn't trying to get one by him. I'm just really a moron.
Well, in that position, it really didn't matter. The order in which you draw tiles actually has no influence over the probability of drawing a certain tile. So when people draw out of order, it's not actually a big deal. It seems weird. You want to call the director over, see what are you going to do about it. But in that particular situation, since the bag was not empty, it did not matter one bit. So lucky you didn't You didn't get fined. Yeah, we would have fined you big time, Noah.
How much would you find me?
All of your winnings if you end up winning anything. So speaking of winnings, you are now both 3-1. So you're looking to win the rest of your games. What are your thoughts going forward, Yanni?
Let's kind of keep up some momentum. Try to play. Don't make any big mistakes. Just play smart and really think through everything before it goes down on the board.
Yeah, I kind of have the same idea. At this point, I really want to play conservative, not do anything really stupid, not make any impulsive bingos where I'm not sure, which I do a lot, not make any impulsive phonies. So I really want to just go with what I know and try to farm up some more wins right now before I get back to the top.
All right, well, great game, guys. Very, very defensive plays. Could have gone either way at some point. Yanni won this one, and we'll be back later with another championship division game. See you guys.
We can't wait for the next episode of the Noah Kalus Show. That's going to be a lot of fun, isn't it? We're going to be back in, I guess, about 10, 15 minutes with our next matchup. That one was a lot of fun. Every one seems to be more and more interesting. The play gets better and better, and I can't wait for the next one coming up.
Yeah, it seems like we've had 4 really close, interesting games. No real blowouts, so let's hope for more of the same.
We're probably going to go back to the championship division, so if you want to stick around, see how the pairs of players take on one another and how it differs from the high school players. It does quite a bit. As the kids get older, they get much better.
And it's also interesting to see at this point, we're going to be seeing some of the top people, and they're going to be paired against each other. So some of the undefeated teams are going to play some of the other undefeated teams. So we're in for a pretty good match, I think.
Going into that round, I know there were 5 undefeated teams in the championship division. So they probably played one another. We probably have no more than 2 or 3 undefeated teams. That's going to continue to whittle down until we get to the big championship game. That will take place tomorrow afternoon. Stick around. We're going to be back in just a little bit for our next match.